Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be going over the top 5 mid laners. So we're leaving ADC for last, which I'll probably do tomorrow. I'm going to try to do this a little bit more similarly to the jungle list, where I make it kind of brief. Obviously, if I don't super explain something and you want to explain, let me know in the comments. I'll try to go a bit more in depth. Thankfully, there's no aspect switch ups on these picks, so should be a little bit more streamlined. So let's just get straight into it. Number 5, we're gonna have Merlin. So this god pre-Polynomicon heavy nerf was honestly probably in the top 2 or 3. But with those changes, he's at number 5, and I'm tempted to actually just take him out of the top 5 altogether. I think there's an argument to put him in the honorable mention spot. When you see my honorable mention, I put in that spot. Feel free to understand that, like, you could put them there instead of Merlin. Okay, so big picture, this is the build for Merlin that I'd recommend. This is just Paul's build. I just took it. And it's a ton of cooldown. Obviously, you're going to max your 1 first on this character, then your 2. Generally speaking, most mid laners will level their 2 at level 1. Obviously, though, you max the 1, and you start in fire stance and go to ice, or you go in ice to fire just to get good clear. And then after that, you kind of play the game and go to whatever stance you really need it just to get your first wave having really good push. The big advantage of this character is just the amount of flexibility he has from approaching fights. You have so much potential damage and obviously a lot of survivability, cooldown resets with the Ice 3, just a lot of zone pressure, a lot of poke pressure, a lot of range, which in some cases with mages in this game is actually kind of limited. I don't think a lot of mages are really good poke mages in this game just yet. We're missing a lot of the heavy hitters like Tiamat, like Thoth, to name a couple, even Discordia. So having a god like Merlin with good poke is, I don't want to say completely rare, but not something that every god has. So you're getting that value. Obviously no CC immune ult, but the big thing is without Poly, this god's damage is a lot slower to get online, so he feels a lot more scaly. Definitely still a very good mid laner. And yeah, I would say probably number 5 right now at this point. Number 4 is a bit tricky, but I'm going to go with Agni. This is non-aspect. And I'm going with Agni. Where's builds? Here. I'm going with Agni because I think, and obviously this is Sans, I just forgot to upgrade it here. I think that this character is a little bit underplayed, right? His aspect play in ADC when the aspect was at its peak of its value was really, really high in competitive play, semi-low in ranked. But that made his actual mid lane play very, like, lowly played because Aspect Agni ADC at the time was the best ADC in the game, not even close, right? So now that the Aspect's a bit weaker, the mid lane version of the character gets to shine, and this pick is insanely good. What you really want with this god and what you have with this god is an available CC as a backliner. Generally speaking, it's the support's job and the jungler's job, sometimes the solos as well, to provide like ample CC and value in a fight. You look at a character like Merlin, he has some CC, it's a little bit more inconsistent, but it's mostly like slows and stuff. And that's pretty customary for a lot of mages. They don't typically have a ton of CC, but if they do, they don't have that much range, consistent damage, consistent range, whatever the case might be. Agni has all of that. He's extremely safe. His dash being knockup immune slash displacement immune means he's safe into gods like Ares in this game, safe into largely every frontliner in the game. Obviously, Odin can do well into him, but by and large, you are really well off. You're going to obviously max your 2, then 3, then 1, level your ult whenever you can. And you have really good, matchups in mid lane. Not that that's super important, but you're hard to gank. Aladdin suffers into you. Any knockup reliant god suffers into you. Even normal junglers like Nemesis and stuff, I think, have a tougher time into you if you're postured well. Again, because of this kind of on-demand stun. So that alone gives this character so much value. Again, his damage can take a little bit to get online, but the passive is quite strong. You have stuff like Soul Reaver as well with procs. You're going to do pretty well for yourself. You can change this build up a little bit and put the Soul Gem later on in the build and then just bump all these items and item forward if your game state requires it. And that's sort of the thing with these mid builds. If you need pen a little bit earlier or later, you are obviously okay to change them a tiny bit. And yeah, that's Agni number 3. So or excuse me, 4, right? Yeah, 4, sorry. Number 3, we're going to go to Neith. Neith is obviously still really good. The mid build is going to have Pendulum. Obviously, the solo build has Conduit. And obviously, you're going to max your 2 and then 1, though you can max your 1 first if you really want to. And then obviously, dash whenever you can. Or I guess afterwards, you max your backflip and then you roll whenever you can. Big picture with Neith is that with Polynerf, she's still very good. I still think you should probably go Poly, but a little bit later generally is going to be fine. The big idea with Neith is that she is easy. She's extremely safe. Her laning phase is very good. She has good pressure virtually all the time. Can be a bit of a cone for some junglers to just kill eventually, but in the laning phase, you're completely insured. You'll probably spawn in ahead, and your team fights are very strong. I mean, you have a free ultimate that's going to do about 600 damage late game minimum, and you're going to have really easy setup for your own damage. And if you don't really like have an angle, you're not going to be in a bad spot, right? You can kind of bail yourself out unless you're pretty excessively placed up. So just super consistent, super easy, super stable mid laner. There's something to be said about doing physical damage as well as a mid laner when a lot of these mages are obviously, doing magical damage. So that kind of contrast can be super useful if you want an RDO solo, a Cerberus, something like that. You want a little bit more physical damage in your draft potentially. Totally slots in very well. For number 2, we're going to look at Ullr. Where is he? What the heck? Oh, he's just not listed as a mid laner? Yeah, this system sucks. Okay, Ullr, easy number 2. This god is completely broken. So why? Very simple. He gets to build the jungle items, and the jungle items are by far the best items in the game. It's literally that simple. All of these items should be nerfed, except for maybe Jotuns, but honestly, fuck Jotuns, why not? I don't know how these strength items are the best items in the game since they've gotten buffed like 7 months ago, and they still remain to be. It makes zero sense, but he uses all of them. So that's it. You max your 1, you level your roll always at 5, and they're on forward. You level your 3 next. You put a point in your 2, probably about level 4, level 5, maybe level 6, and then you kind of ignore it until you max your 1 and your 3. But big picture, why is this god so good? His damage is just so high, right? These proc items are completely broken. He wins virtually every mid matchup. Can struggle a bit into Neith, but the constant kill threat and pressure lets him get to rocks easily, lets him fight whenever he wants to easily, a lot of pick potential. Beats Force, obviously a bit more mechanically difficult and not the easiest pick in the world, but this god's upside is so high, you can snowball so many games so easily. And yeah, I mean, he just sort of kills people. That's not the most eloquent way to state it, but big picture, you're very mobile, so you can reposition constantly. You have so much range on this character. I think there's this kind of belief in Smite 1, and this was never true, so I don't know why this was a thing. But that Ullr was like kind of like an early to mid game character. Definitely not the case. You're absolutely scaling into the late game extremely well. You can just play poke with your 3 once you're late game with these proc items and virtually half health backliners or just tag out frontliners, and then you have really good posturing in play for objectives. I like Ullr mid a little bit more than ADC because ADC is typically expected to kind of do some very good auto attack damage and stuff to structures and like fire giant and stuff. Obviously, this build's going to do a little bit worse at that. So if you have this build in ADC, you're going to suffer a tiny bit on that regard. And generally speaking, physical gods are just better than mages because mages tend to be kind of weak. So yeah, if you can get like an Ullr mid, you're pretty happy. And that's why he's number 2. So my honorable mention is going to be Eset. This is who I was debating putting with Merlin or against Merlin for the number 5 spot. Here's the thing with Eset. I think as a character, she's obviously very strong. Her kit's amazing. She's just, to me, sort of like in the Agni situation previously, where she is clearly better in support. And until that's not the case, it's really hard for me to evaluate this character as a mid laner because every time I see her play mid, I'm like, well, I'm glad she's not in support. And she does good typically, but not as well in my experience. And she has like some deficiencies as a character. Mainly her range is spotty. I mean, you should not be getting max range spirit balls off ever. Her one is obviously very good, but her ultimate in this game I feel like does next to no damage. The healing is pretty nice. I know it has a charge thing. I'm saying even with the charge, it tends to feel very weak. And the kit is great. I'm not saying this is a bad character, but I just don't really think she's quite up there as a pure mid laner. Now, if you want to go an aspect build, even in mid lane, that's semi-tank. That's very strong, I've seen. But generally, again, that's just in support, and you lack damage, so you can make it work. But it's a little bit finessey. So base Eset, I think, can be number 5, but I put Merlin there for kind of legacy and right now. But again, we'll see. And our number 1 pick is Hecate. I think this one is pretty obvious. This is clearly the best mid in the game. Obviously, the role generally I would say is a little bit weak right now, but this is clearly the best god in the game. Biggest value case for her is just the range. This god I think is really underrated in how much range you have. You want to max your 1, and then depending on role, generally in mid, max your 3, then 2, then ult. Though you can do 1, then 2, then 3, then ult. You just, yeah, you literally outrange people. Your passive applying to gods is like a Discordia passive, giving you and them bonus stats. Your shield does an absurd amount of damage, really good with a lot of junglers right now in the game, like Odin, like Achilles, like Hunbats. I mean, really every jungler, but especially junglers that get on people, she really syncs well with. The ultimate is completely game changing. It's one of the best ults in the game. Not the easiest ult to use, but one that has a lot of really high reward and is just, again, extremely strong. She has so much poke, so much range, and she probably perfectly slots into that role. Her laning phase is pretty good. It's a little bit slow at times, but I think generally speaking, you won't feel too bad. And once you get to team fights, you virtually always win. This pick, generally speaking, in comp is kind of a ban, so I don't get to see it as much in ranked or even in comp games, especially. But every time it's picked, again, this pick just kind of excels. So probably one that's a little bit underplayed in lower ranks because she is a bit difficult, but one I'd really recommend picking up and playing. I don't think she's going to get nerfed anytime soon, at least in any substantive, I can't speak, whatever way, and substantial. There we go. And yeah, it's kind of just a good look to players. So you have a good amount of self peel, obviously, with the movement speed increases, the mesmerize, the bonus damage on the 1, the 2 charging up is really good poke, obviously the ult, all that stuff. Very shifty character. Reminds me a lot of like the Gemma focus Hells in Smite 1 that were just kind of running around in circles super quick. It was kind of a pain in the ass to catch them, except she actually does damage. That's the difference. So yeah, that's the top 5 mids right there. We're going to do ADC tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate all the support. I know we kind of lightning rounded through this one. I didn't really talk too much about the builds, but I did show them on screen. And yeah, generally speaking, as long as you're getting pen 4th spot, maybe 5th at the latest, you're going to be doing pretty good. To Hootie, you generally don't want to go last because you get so much value out of it that getting it early feels good at the moment, and then you spike with it as the game progresses. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. Any questions, comments, concerns, all of that stuff. And I will see all of you super soon. Peace out.